2 weeks ago, Mother Teresa was declared Saint Teresa of Calcutta, someone the Catholic Church is confident is now in heaven. We all know that periodically, the Catholic Church declares holy men and women to be saints in heaven. But what exactly are the steps for one to be canonized a saint by the Catholic Church? The process has actually changed over the centuries. In the earliest years, it was pretty much only those who were martyrs who were considered to be saints in heaven. But pretty soon thereafter, other holy men and women who died without being killed for their faith were being declared and honored as saints by those who knew them in that local town or region. These holy men and women were declared saints by what was known as acclamation of the community, or simply by what we might call by popular demand. As the church grew over time, this gave way to a more structured process that became developed in the Middle Ages and more or less continues to be followed even to today. So in order for one to be considered a saint, the first obvious thing, the person has to be dead. This is because a saint is someone that we believe is in heaven with God, and therefore can't be still living here on earth. Once the holy person has died, it is then that the first step, which is the request for canonization, may take place. At least 5 years after a person's death, unless a special exception is made by the Pope, which was the case for Mother Teresa, a formal request is made to consider him or her for sainthood. The people making the request are usually from the candidate's church or religious community. The request tells how the person lived a life of holiness and lists reasons for considering the candidate for sainthood. Witnesses are then called to attest to the candidate's goodness, holiness, devotion to God, and other virtues. If a person passes this step, he or she is named a servant of God. The second step then is the bishop sends a formal report and request to Rome. The candidate's writings and other aspects of his or her life are studied to make sure there is nothing that goes against the teachings and practices of the Church. If this is confirmed, the individual receives the title Venerable, and then the search begins for a miracle as he moves to the third step. The next step is beatification. If the candidate was a martyr, someone who died for their faith, he or she may be beatified and named Blessed. Otherwise, a miracle brought about by the intercession of the saint must occur and be verified by the congregation and high-ranking medical personnel. In the eyes of the Church, a miracle attributed to someone after their death is evidence that this person is in heaven with God, interceding for those of us on earth with their prayers. Our belief is that it is God who actually performed the miracle, but the potential saint is credited with the assist, like you would be in soccer or in basketball. A miraculous cure must meet 3 stringent criteria. It must be instantaneous, lasting, and unexplainable. Instantaneous meaning the person goes from being very sick or terminally ill to being healthy within a matter of a short period of time, usually just a couple of days. Lasting, meaning that it wasn't just a fluke or that it went into remission, but that the cure lasted for more than at least a year. And unexplainable, meaning that the person's return to health cannot be attributed to any other course of action or treatment. And on top of all this, there has to be evidence that individuals prayed to this particular potential saint, seeking the healing of the one who was sick. And they can pray to no one else, other than, of course, God or Jesus. In the case of Mother Teresa, it was a woman who lived in Bengal and who had 5 children who had ovarian cancer. And on the very first anniversary of Mother Teresa's death, she was miraculously cured. Once the miracle occurs, the person is named blessed by the Pope. And now the person's name can be added to the canon, and masses can be celebrated in his or her honor. Churches can be dedicated in the saint's memory, and his or her name can be used in public prayers. The fourth and final step is canonization. After one is being beatified, another miracle is required for that person to be canonized and officially declared a saint. The second person to receive a miracle by the intercession of Mother Teresa was a Brazilian man who had 8 tumors. On the day his operation was supposed to take place, his headaches went away and a scan revealed that it was miraculously gone after they had prayed to Mother Teresa and had placed a relic of her on his forehead. The Pope then celebrates a special Mass at St. Peter's Basilica and canonizes him or her as a saint in the Church. So here's the review. First, there's the request on the local level for someone to be considered to be a saint. If achieved, they become a servant of God. Then it is sent officially to Rome, where after review, if the person is granted to continue on the process, they're named venerable. Following, the third step is for beatification, which requires a miracle. And then the last step, to be canonized a saint, one needs one more miracle. It's important to note that by this process of canonization, the Church doesn't make a saint. It's just simply our earthly way to affirm the fact that this person is indeed in heaven with God and can pray for us on earth and can be a good model for us on our way to the path of heaven.